So are we, the- are we doing this renewal or are we postponing this renewal?
What renewal?
Item D.
For the
Shelter?
Holy Hill?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Why would we postpone it?
because I got an email from Erin that said it wasn't on the agenda. Is she referencing a different renewal that's not on the
I
agenda?
don't know, but I can't read her stuff when she sends it straight out.
Something to do with it.
You won't allow me to open it up.
Oh, you can't even open the
Yeah.
email, bro?
No, sir.
It's actually not a Shell station.
They can take that Civic and throw it up there.
It's not a Shell station anymore. That's true.
Well, and my question was, on the agenda, there's 2 denials, but there's absolutely no information on them.
Yeah, so why give us a blank sheet of paper?
Yeah. Bill, I feel your frustration.
Because they were saying is if the person is here, do
Yeah, should we keep it as an open or should we vote and keep it as just leaders? And they voted on it. Yes. Yeah.
oh boy.
How's it going?
So far, so good. And yourself?
Yes. I mean, you have 1 copy though, or do you want to just start passing it
Why?
around so we can at least?
With this meeting? Oh,
Do you want to see it first?
well, we can't look at the clock and figure out what time it is.
I, I, I can't.
the chairperson first.
Oh, sure. These are the hard copies of the denials.
Oh, we got the count?
No, just one copy. So if you wanted to take a look at it first and then pass it on
Oh,
to us.
here, look what I got for you.
No, you give me the gavel.
Why are we giving you the gavel?
Never.
Smacker.
That's fine.
No, you get it.
No, he'll never use the gavel. Are you kidding me?
Only to stop Melanie.
She didn't hear you.
5:30, you guys.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. This meeting's been given public notice in accordance with the section 19.83 and 19.8.4 of the Wisconsin State Statutes in such a form that will apprise the general public and news media of all subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call shows all trustees present and the fire chief and the police chief. At this time, we'll have citizen input. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We're feeling generous tonight.
Oh, does it matter? Does it matter?
Should be ready. Should be on.
It's not doing anything. Okay, all right, never mind.
We're on air. Sign's not on.
The sign was burning out though last week.
Oh, she's great. We'll never know.
Red, okay, all right. Melanie Smythe, N140W17938 Cedar Lane. I just wanted to thank the police and fire departments for a really fabulous 4th of July. It's always great to see how much fun the kids have getting wet and on the parade route and then in the park later on. You guys do a great job. And then it did not go unnoticed, the presence of, I think it was 5 officers on the roof of the building along Main with their little tent and their bottles of water. And it was comforting and a lot of people appreciated that. So good idea. I didn't remember that being there last year, but so thank you. And thank you for year round. There was an agenda item to do with the Mueller Communications. And I would strongly suggest that no discussion about that happen until we get into the budgeting later this year. And we know what's in the 2022 annual report. And I also wanted to remind people who may not have been part of the Special Communications Committee during the referendum process of last year that Mueller effectively self-disqualified by releasing information prior to the village board finalizing the language for the actual referendum. And I've got the information, and I also have a copy of a recording of that conversation where they admitted that it was wrong. So I'm really adamant about that. That was just the wrong thing to do. The referendum was tainted. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments tonight, and also thank you for also volunteering. It was greatly appreciated. Thank you. Any other citizen input tonight?
I'm the only other citizen. Trustee Hudson said if I work the 4th of July, I get 4 minutes, but I'll try to keep it under that.
It's a lot.
Okay, Trustee Hudson, we'll talk after the meeting. So, all right, a couple things today. Everybody knows I'm public safety positive. Based on the new news that we got from the state, I don't know that we need a referendum for the police. I think we can help Chief Snow. Why do I say that? We have 500 grand coming our way. And this will increase over time, according to the state, according to Dan Canola's office. I don't think we're making that up. And even though there was a agenda item that said, hey, we're going to talk about doing 3 firefighters or a police officer, I think pretty much what was said, and I believe that's an error, is we can do, with 500,000, we can do 3 firefighters or EMS, let John figure that out, and 2 police officers. And as was mentioned last month, A new squad would be needed because we have more personnel and we can handle that with our capital borrowing plan that we already used for replacement of squads. So the way I look at it, with the money from the state, we can get 3 firefighters, 2 police officers, use capital borrowing for a squad. That helps John. That helps Chief Snow. That gets us going. The state came up with a shared revenue plan, which I didn't think they would ever do, and they did. So I understand and have heard that you could use that funds for something else. There is no need to use it for anything else. Public safety has to be the most important thing that anyone sitting up there is concerned with, and I believe it is. So also, as part of my research for this public safety, dilemma we keep having, is we were under the levy limit for 23, and we have about 200,000 or so the village board could levy extra for the 24 budget. I think Trustee Baum talked about that last meeting. Okay, well, that's 2 more police officers. We look at it that way. Not everybody makes, but let's just say on average 100,000, because I think Chief Snow has said that. So I understand that half of that is spoken for, but I don't know what's spoken for in it because we don't get a lot of good budget information. It shouldn't be spoken for anything but public safety, in my opinion. So if we allocate that 200, that's 4 people, 4 officers in the squad for Chief Snow, 3 firefighters for John. It doesn't fix everything, but it helps him, raises morale. We're not touching the budget as it stands. The 500 is coming from state. Maybe they're rebating money back to us. We have another 200 in the levy we can look at. This is called budgeting, and we can handle that without a referendum for Chief Snow. We probably need one for John to help him out because he needs 12 officers or 12 EMS. But there's ways to do that. One would be the safety grant. I don't know if we've applied for that, but it's hard to get. The Falls got 13 people that way. It's a 3-year grant process, and then you have to build it in the budget. That's enough time to build it in the budget. So I don't know why, I understand it's a tough call. Why do we keep talking about it and not doing anything? This is a windfall from the state. We can use it to fund officers. I know y'all going to go for a referendum for something. I just want to make sure that we have the right language and ask for the right things if you do want to go down that road. Don't ask for things that you don't need to ask for. Because as good as the people want, as good as people in this, we support law enforcement. I mean, Chief Snow knows it. We all know it. We do it. Let's help them now, but not ask for too much, because it would be disappointing for them to turn it down and we're back to square one and now we're 2 or 3 more years out. So the final thing I say, I'm not going to talk about Mueller. I feel the way Melody does. I think they did something they shouldn't have done that. But that public fire protection fee, which I know that Trustee Hudson and Trustee Baum are not in favor of using, I don't know why. I was told it went for hydrant repairs or whatever. We have budgets for that. That's $537,000. The only thing that would happen is people like Trustee Miller, Trustee Ryder, and myself, who are on sewer and water, would have to pay $52 extra a year, but that's 537 grand. That's 5 more EMS or firefighters. We can give John 8 out of 12 if we shifted that over. And I, for one, will state I'm willing to pay $52 or more a year to have more police and more fire. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you also for volunteering on July 4th. 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Approval of minutes.
And 19.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we'll move on to item 5, reports from the police department.
Thank you. I would also just like to say that the 4th of July celebration from our end went off very well. I would just like to note Captain Merton, who's in the audience, took care of the security and staffing for the 4th of July, and we did increase staffing this year, and we'll need to do that moving forward. But we received very positive impact on the event. Went off pretty much without a hitch, so we were very happy with that. Some feedback that came back to us was some concern over some of the conditions of the parks after the festivities. We're meeting with Scott from Highway to see some of the things that we can do next year to maybe take care of those issues. Just a lot of garbage left behind and things of that nature. So we will try to look at some possible solutions for that for next year. That was the only negative thing that we had that came back to us. Very quickly, as we're talking about staffing, just something of note that we've talked about, but I want to give you some concrete evidence of what's going on at the police department that's given us some challenges. A couple weeks ago, we had a retail theft down at Fleet Farm, arrested 2 subjects. Turned out to be arrest for carrying a concealed weapon, felony bail, jumping, felon in possession of a firearm, and possession of a machine gun. Took every officer off the road just because of the nature of the incident. As that was going on, we were stacking 5 other calls that needed our attention. Today, before I came over, we had another retail that was taking every officer. We made 3 arrests, felony retail theft, and it looks like we're going to close some open cases. But again, that took our squads off the road, and we're stacking calls in the meantime. Those are just becoming more and more common, and just the nature of these calls are becoming more and more concerning with what we're dealing with. The machine gun, the possession of a machine gun was this. They call it a Glock switch that basically turns a handgun into what's classified by statute as a machine gun. That's what that person was in possession of at that time. So just to keep you kind of up to speed on some of the the challenges that we're dealing with, those are just a couple incidents. I'll try to bring those forward as they come. Question.
Trustee Baum.
What is?
You're off.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're on.
No. I don't care. Doesn't matter. What is the backup protocol? Are we getting support from other municipalities? We're getting support from the county? When we get into this situation, what's?
Pretty typically, our first response would be to see if county has a South squad that's in the area. And they're very good. If they have a South squad in the area, they'll assist us. We have, depending on where the call originates, requested Menominee Falls for backup, requested Mequon, but typically we're starting with the county, and that has worked out for the most part fairly well. But these calls, when all of our officers are tied up down there, you're just kind of hoping that county squads aren't all tied up at the same time, and we certainly have had where they are. And in the case of the one I talked about from a couple weeks ago, those calls stayed stacked for a while before we responded to them.
Trustee Pieper.
I wasn't aware that there were police officers on a roof and on Main Street. Were they what roof were they on top of, and how many officers were there?
It was at the corner of Park and Main. We were assisted by the Washington County SWAT team for security purposes. Yeah, and if we didn't have to go into a great deal into the overall security, that would be helpful for us, but we were assisted by them.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. And I know you guys dealt with the whole car on the railroad tracks for the first time ever on the 4th of July.
That was interesting.
Yes, I thank you guys for navigating that unusual circumstance.
And I think the signals got crossed and that vehicle was actually off the tracks, albeit parked very close and parallel to the tracks. I don't know that it would have been struck or not. I don't know, but it was close, too close to the tracks. So.
Sure.
Trustee Neureiter.
Chief, in the case of some of these retail establishments, I'm not going to mention any names I'll just say locations down on Highway Q, et cetera. Do any of them have their own private security?
Both or many of the establishments do have loss prevention and have several people employed for those purposes. They can go as far as to basically detain people, and then they do need to call us, correct?
Thank you. I'd also like to thank you for a stellar job on the 4th of July. It was a wonderful event. Next item is
Thank you.
Fire Department reports. Chief Delane.
For this report, you'll notice a couple changes to the monthly report, specifically on page 36, I believe it is, of your packet. We went ahead and broke down the calls down further as to what the exact nature of the calls were and how many times we are responding to and receiving automatic and mutual aid from neighboring departments or going to neighboring departments, excuse me. We're doing this to try and give you a picture of how kind of things are working and which way things are moving towards. In addition to that, it kind of gives you a picture on how often that we may be unavailable. For the example, if you look in the bottom, it says both mutual aid numbers reflect MABUS change of quarters. When we go to a MABUS call, depending on the type of apparatus, we may have to have 4 people on that apparatus as part of the MABUS agreement. If you recall, we have 5 people on shift. So if we go to a structure fire that is a MABUS call any place outside of Germantown, that tends to take our whole crew out of service. On the contrary, if they're coming into us, they have to provide the same. So when you're seeing these numbers, just understand that some of them take the whole department out of service. We are trying to get, we do get a few people to come in and backfill, and depending on how busy we are that day or what we have going on, we may decline to go to that other department for that call too. So when you're looking here, it talks about automatic aid given. It was 11 times for the month of May. We gave mutual aid 4 times and we received mutual aid 3 times. That's just for the month of May. That also includes the big incident that happened at Slinger. So that's, if you look at the numbers further, the number of units that we actually received, is we also had a fire in a business, so we received 15 units from our neighboring departments. But we only gave, I believe it was 8 units out. And in addition to the 4th of July, I would also like to commend Battalion Chief Rodriguez, who was spearheading that. That was his shift day. So he gets the kudos. He worked along with that committee on a couple other things too. So he did a very good job. Thank you.
Questions for Chief Delane? I'd also like to thank the fire department for their help on the 4th of July. Your 2 departments made that a wonderful success for our whole community. Thank you both very, very much. Next item is policy updates from the police department.
No updates.
Policy updates from the fire department.
No updates.
Thank you. Next item is unfinished business. Item 4, contract with Mirla Communications for preliminary investigations on the possible public safety referendum not to exceed $50,629.90.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion purely for discussion to approve unfinished business item A.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Purely for discussion, guys.
Okay, for discussion.
Discussion only.
We have a motion and a second. I'd like to open up discussion, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Norreder.
I probably follow here with a motion to deny that request and kick it out. As far as I know, there was no decision made to have a referendum. There's been a lot of talk about having a referendum. So every month when I see this, I guess my blood pressure just goes a little bit higher because I'm sitting there saying, what the heck is it doing on the agenda? And the other thing is, if we're ever going to spend money again on a referendum, and I for one am not in favor of hiring a firm. I don't think we need one here, but we better get more than one bid, because $50,000 is a heck of a lot of money, and we've been straining ourselves to find even 100,000 for a policeman or fireman, and yet we're kicking 50,000 right out the door here, which to me it's an insult, I think, to the police and fire departments. So I'm going to leave it open here for discussion yet, but you're going to see a motion to kick this thing out totally.
Trustee Pieper.
I echo everything he said, and all we have to do is vote no on this motion and it fails, so you don't need a new motion. Trustee Knight Rider. So
Okay.
I am completely in agreement with everything he said. I think this is premature to put this on the agenda right now, especially with the funds that we're getting from the state. And there are also other things that we can do to get even more police officers and firefighters very soon, which I think we should just maybe put on the agenda for next month. But there are changes that have been made that we should all be aware of to funding, especially through the state and county, that we can also look into, that would also supply even more firefighters in addition to the funding that we just got from the state.
Trustee Baum.
Yeah, I'll agree with most of that. The issue I have is people are coming forward are not fully informed. People that I'm getting emails from are not fully informed. Until we can be fully informed with all the correct information and not rhetoric and hearsay, I don't want to make any decision on a proposal for a communications company at this time. So whether it's postponed until another date or totally removed, I won't support this tonight.
Thank you. Committee, any other comments? Could you read back the motion, please?
Motion to approve discussion. There you go.
So you take a vote
Yeah, we take a vote.
and everybody's going to vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Wait, no,
Well-
to approve.
All right. All right.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Motion is unanimous, motion fails. Moving on to new business, number 7, item A. Budget inclusion for 2024 for 3 full-time fire department employees or 1 police officer. Committee?
Mr. President, Chairman.
Your honor.
Again, I'm going to try and maintain my cooler, but I guess since I think this is maybe the 3rd meeting I've been on public safety, and every time we meet about this, we talk about something and it's in the minutes, and then the following meeting comes and we totally ignore what's in there. For instance, at last month's meeting, and I have to find my scribble here, hang on a second. At last month's meeting, there was a motion made asking, here we are. A motion was made by Nyrider, seconded by Baum, to request the administrator and finance director to examine the budget for this year and all other sources of revenues or cuts in expenditures that were previously mentioned, and come back next month with a dollar amount of what those numbers would be. And I know we talked about the money coming through Madison, which, yes, is a miracle, and I think the sky must have opened up over Madison when that vote was taken. But I haven't seen that. And you know, Dennis's request, Trustee Meyer's request, to have it on our agenda that we should consider 3 full-time or one police officer going to be paid by newly passed legislative biennium. Okay, again, it's just kind of jumping the gun here, and it seems like everybody wants a hand in this, and I know we're all interested in finding a solution to this. But again, if we don't follow what we always ask for, then why are we sitting here? I could be at home right now, watching the news instead of sitting here, because what good does our motions do? And I still feel there's fat in every budget. And there's still some fat in that budget that could be looked at. But if you're going to request something, then put in there what the costs are going to be, et cetera, et cetera. But to dictate to the village board that they have to do this at budget time, I think is a wrong way of doing things. When it comes up at the budget meetings, the committee of the whole or whatever it's called, that's the time where this is brought up. And that's the time where we examine the money, and we'll know how much is going to come in each biennium, or how much is going to come, because this money, if I remember right, doesn't kick in until July of 2024. So you have a half a year already that, we aren't going to get some. That's why I'm saying, can we go into the budget and can we find some fat in there? Can we also go in the reserves that were brought up and see if there's money, et cetera, that can be done? So I think, again, we're always jumping the gun. And that's why, to be honest with you, that's why we never get this done. This just keeps going on and on, because every month it's a different mushroom jumping out of the ground. So to me, it's aggravating to sit here, to make motions, to ask for information. I didn't see any information, from our budget director or from the administrator, and maybe they have something for us tonight yet. But that's, to me, what we should look at, but then also clearly define when that money is going to come from Madison. And yeah, certainly, I think all of us are to the opinion where we'll use as much of that as we can. But that's part of the budget process. That's like right now, if I would say I want 93,000 to go for a stump grinder in next year's budget, it doesn't make sense, because we're not part of that process yet. Let's wait until August, September, October, or whenever it comes in, see how the budget is set up with that in there, and then dictate to the administrators, to the budget directors, as a board and as citizens, what we want that money to go towards. And yeah, I think we all want it to go towards public safety, but we may even have more than what we need. And I don't want to sit here tonight and say, too, that an extra 100,000 should go to my stump grinder. So that's my opinion right now.
Thank you. Trustee Baum.
I'm on a similar wavelength as you, but not quite all the way there. I think there are things we can discuss. Do we have any information on the financial criteria for 2 police, fire? Do we have it broken down? What I'd like to do is go into the budget with, okay, we have seen this, and this as potential funding. If we can use all this money, we would like to get this, and this. If we can't have all of it, we can have some of it, we'll back down to this. If we can't have that, we'll back down to this. That is what I think we should be doing at this board, is coming up with multiple options to give to the village board for committee of the whole.
I like the word multiple.
Yes.
Okay.
So that we can, but Steve is out of town today. Is he not here today? Usually he's here and gives us numbers.
I can't speak to where our administrator is. I don't know.
He's back.
Matt, do you have any information on numbers that you are allowed to give us?
But this is not, I don't think we can It's not on the agenda. What numbers are you looking for, trustee Baum?
And the numbers we asked for in our last meeting.
It's not an agenda
Yeah, but
item.
Okay, then you can't give us what we appear to be looking for.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm done.
Trustee Peeper.
Some legislature has just changed to in regarding, some public safety funding in the county. And I would like to direct our administration to look into that legislation change. Because this is a very recent change has occurred in the last couple months. That could potentially open up more funding.
Do we need that to be an agenda item?
It's part of the whole
Yeah,
discussion.
it's a budget inclusion for 2024, so I'd like to I'll make a motion for new business item A, to direct staff to look into the newest legislation changes in our county instead of doing the budget inclusion to find more staffing for police and fire.
A motion has been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I don't have the specifics of the motion or of the
Counties.
the
program.
counties changing.
Yeah.
But I did just meet with Joshua Schulman, and he did bring up some very great ideas that through the county that have just come to light. And I'd like to look into them.
Do you want to include the state funding in that and
This
an
is an-
explanation?
This is an
You said,
addition.
you said county
Yes, county.
and state or just
Well, the
county?
state, I think we're all looking into in the budget for.
I think it's just a general state and county funding
Sure.
That's,
altogether. So is that in your motion?
Sure, yes.
That
I-
was it.
I'll
I'm
modify
fine
my
with it.
motion.
You good?
Second is
I'm
okay.
fine with that, yep.
I'm good. Any other comments? There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. New business 7, item B, denial of operator license for Roquan Thompson.
You have the paperwork.
I have the paperwork.
I will, just to get on the table, I'll make a motion to approve the denial for discussion.
Motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I know absolutely nothing, just a blank piece of paper here.
It's coming your way.
Chief, can you give us,
My memory, even the worst.
Synopsis, please.
I brought that specifically for that, but I do know that this is similar to many that I brought before. Mr. Thompson does have a felony conviction for a drug conviction. I believe it was
Give it to me, I'll find it.
well, I'm
Where's
trying to
the,
wonder if this is
excuse me.
multiple issues or is this just one
This-
issue? Because he's, in there's talk about 20 times, there's talk about the same
Is it
issues.
the felony for mushrooms?
correct. There was at least one felony conviction. I believe it was only one felony conviction.
2022. From what I'm looking at.
That
Does it say where he's trying to apply on here? Quick Trip. Okay, so he's trying to apply to Quick Trip. He has one felony conviction in 2022. Doesn't look like he has anything else.
So the next page. So, yeah, keep going.
Manufacture, deliver.
Yeah, what's all that?
Maintain drug trafficking place.
Could you pass that to the
Sure.
chief? So we can,
Manufacture, deliver.
I'll throw it. Thanks, Joanne.
thank you.
Because it looks like he's got a whole lot more.
That's why I bring it up for discussion, because he just did something once.
The sole conviction was for maintaining drug trafficking house. Maintaining a drug trafficking place.
And this is last year?
Correct.
His first name?
Raquan.
It looks like he was found guilty of manufacture, deliver, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Thiosin?
Yeah, mushrooms is easier.
There's a horticulturist.
Yeah, he got it without a valid license,
So,
speeding on freeway,
so do we have a second to this or no?
and that's it.
I will second it. Now I know a little bit more. I'll second Dave's motion.
Any further discussion? Trustee Peeper?
Being this has nothing to do with alcohol and he's trying to work at Quick Trip, not bartend or do anything like that. I am not in support of denying this. Yeah, it was in 2022.
But-
A year ago, but it has nothing to do with alcohol and you guys know I hate denying these.
But it's an operator's license,
Yeah,
so he could sell alcohol.
at Quick Trip only.
Yeah.
No, once he's got his operator's license, he could
Go anywhere.
go.
In the village of Germantown.
Correct.
But
Okay.
that would be different than bartending. He's just trying to get a job at Quick Trip.
That's what he's listed on here. But I'm just saying that he could potentially work at a bar with an operator's license somewhere else in the village of Germantown. That would allow him to do that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Could you read back the motion, please? Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Approve the denial.
Although,
Aye.
all those opposed?
I,
It's 2-2. Motion fails. Next up is denial of food vendor's license for Lyle Farrell. Packet is being edited.
Edited.
Trustee Hall. Chief, as we're looking at the packet, do you have anything to say?
It was denied for a conviction, misdemeanor. Other items that I couldn't. Sorry, it was for a conviction of lewd and lascivious behavior. Other items in the background weren't technically a conviction, but I was not going to prove it myself. I thought that he should have to respond to some of the to certain questions about those charges.
And what year is the conviction?
It is from a while ago. It's 92.
So 30 years ago?
Yep.
Anything since then?
Nothing that would have given me cause to deny the application.
Thank you. Committee, Trustee Peeper.
so this is for him to sell apples, in the Fleet Farm parking lot?
I believe so. It was a food vendor application without having it right in front of me. That sounds right. And I remember it was the Fleet Farm.
Can I get a motion?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve this food vendor license for Lyle Farrell.
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Last item, new business. Item 7D, renewal of Class A fermented malt beverage, including cider and intoxicating liquor license for the period commencing July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024 for Amja Corporation, Rajan Sethra, I apologize, agent doing business as Holy Hill Road Shell, which it's not anymore, N 128 W 21760, Holy Hill Road for coolers, office, and back storage. Committee.
Move approval as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Trustee Pieper.
I wish we had our village council here because I'm not quite sure what to do since the application says shell, but it's really a mobile.
The last one of these we had, we sent it back to be corrected, if I can remember correctly. That
Right, so then-
was that, yeah, I think you were part of the committee then.
So how about you, well, if you would like to modify your motion to say approval, oh, I made the motion.
Would you like me to amend your motion?
Yes, if my second is okay with it, to amend the approval on editing it with the correct name.
I'll second that motion.
Is, committee, any questions?
Well, yeah, let's get the right, first of all, let's get the right name, but is there when it was a Shell station, was there an existing Class A fermented malt beverage license there?
It's a renewal.
Transferring it over because of the sale.
Well, it's a renewal, but I guess my question is the owner of the new place the same as this guy, or did the entire facility change ownership?
Well, why wasn't it in June then when we renewed the rest of them, right? I mean, that's,
I
listed as a renewal, even though it's gonna be a transfer of
yeah, I see that, but
ownership. So,
we don't know what we're voting on here, to be honest with you.
yeah, you're not wrong.
We don't, I mean,
I'd like to table it.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I remove my motion.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to table this till next meeting.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those, any discussion? Trustee Baum.
When it's brought back forward, whoever's bringing the paperwork forward, please the owner's name of the property and whether this is a change of ownership, an actual renewal, what it actually is.
Sale date.
Problem with it, but I'd like to know all the.
That's a fair ask. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Next meeting,
I was looking at the agenda. Next meeting will be
August 7th.
August 7th. 5:30 work for everybody?
yes.
August 7th, 5:30 in this room. That's it. Thank you for coming. Meeting is adjourned.
5:30.